Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. Day 3, Mom spoiler season. March the Machine spoiler season, that is Mom for short. Yeah, it is here, it is continuing, and it is quite spicy, quite awesome, and super mean. Yeah, Sheoldred is here. Potentially the final iteration of Sheoldred. Spoiler alert. And then, 20 years down the road, Wizards might get bored and be like, let's somehow bring the Phyrexians back. And then that might happen. But, yeah, this might be the last time we're seeing Sheoldred for quite a while. And what a send-off with Sheoldred. I was going to say, like, the full name, but it's just Sheoldred. There you go. Also, thank you to MTG Goldfish for the translated version of this card. Sheoldred apparently is a 4/5 Phyrexian Praetor with Menace that costs 3 black. Here we go. Oh, gross. When it enters the battlefield, search, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker. So, ETB, Edict. And actually, somewhat a better edict in a way, because you're forcing opponents not to just be like, oh yeah, I'll just sacrifice this fodder that I have, this little 1/1 soldier or whatnot. No, you need to sacrifice something of value. Again, a non-token creature or a planeswalker. And what we're probably hoping for are those creatures, and really, really awesome ones at that. If we can get our opponents to sacrifice some great creatures, well, we can set ourselves up, because the backside of this card is just absolutely gross. So the front side, ETB Edict, of course, there are plenty of ways that we can use and abuse that. I mean, there's ways, that we could potentially blink this. There's ways that we could potentially, have it die, maybe come back, kind of like a cheat death type effect. There are ways to ensure that we can get that ETB again and again and again, keep our opponent's boards clear, and their graveyards chock full, because, well, let's get to the backside of the card now. Pay 4 and a black, exile Sheoldred, the return to the battlefield, transform to opponent's control, activate only as a sorcery, and only if opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. So, yeah, forcing opponents to sacrifice creatures. We also have potentially ways to mill opponents as well that we'll talk about here in a bit. Ways to maybe make opponents discard cards as well. We need to ensure that we can get at least one opponent to have 8 or more cards in their graveyard, which is a very easy requirement for us to meet. But when we do, yeah, for just 5 mana, we are flipping this for, well, an incredible amount of value, an incredible amount of sadness as well for our opponents, because we've got the True Scriptures, which is a saga. The first lore counter is, for each opponent, destroy up to 1 target creature the player controls. Mean! So, yeah, we are going to say, hey, you all have those creatures out there. I don't like those. I may just sacrifice quite a few of them, but you know what? I don't like them. Actually, I do like them, but maybe on another side of the board. So we destroy some creatures. Again, that's 3 creatures, essentially, at least one. If every opponent has 1 creature, it's at least 3 creatures, right? Which is fantastic just for a saga lore counter. The second one is each one discards 3 cards, mills 3 cards. That is brutal. It's like, hey, yeah, you got to mill 3, and everyone's like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Get some things in the graveyard or whatever. And then they're like, oh, discard 3 too. Oh, there goes my hand. Yeah, this is crazy. And you can get a lot of value out of that. Even more value, you can actually punish your opponents even further with that. And also, you're setting yourself up to have this giant graveyard for your opponents. Again, one has to have at least 8 in their graveyard before this even starts, right? Then you're starting to, take out opponents' creatures. Then you're making discard and mill. Graveyard's going to be chock full of some great creatures, and with that last lore counter, hey, you put all creature cards from all graveyards on the battlefield under your control. Exile True Scriptures, then return to the battlefield. So, hey, Rise of the Dark Realms, basically, essentially. Is that that's the card's name, right? I'm pretty sure. Anyways, get every single creature out of every graveyard into the battlefield under your control. So all those creatures that you made your opponent sacrifice, all the ones that you milled, all the ones they discarded, all the ones that you took out with the, other side of this, or whatever, the, destroy 1 creature for each opponent. Every single one of those is yours. Can you say win? Can you just say win? You get every single one of those ETBs that those might have. You get all that value that they might have, any activated abilities you can utilize now for yourself, all the juicy value out of all those creatures, and of course, yeah, when you're swinging away with them, eventually you're going to be able to take your opponents out, and of course, there are ways that we can swing right away with that team and say, sorry opponents, but your own creatures are taking you out. How fitting for a Phyrexian ending. Yeah, this is a very powerful saga. Again, the front side definitely has ways that you can use and abuse it, but you really want to get to that backside as quick as you can after you set your opponents up, with a good amount of creatures in their graveyard. And again, yeah, you can do that in a variety of ways. You can make them discard, make them mill, take out creatures. There's a lot of avenues to victory with this kind of a commander, and you probably only need this to actually go off once for you to actually win. But of course, again, If you don't, it flips to the front side, right? It flips back to the front side if this happens, and you get to make them sacrifice creatures. If they have any creatures left, they're sacrificing those or Planeswalker. And then, yeah, if you really need to do it again, you can set yourself up by milling them, getting more creatures in their graveyard, and doing it again. So yeah, a very powerful, very mean card. Goodness gracious. So on this episode, we're going to talk about some budget buys that work very well with this card, this commander, and also some pricier picks, cards that are outside of my budget, again, of less than $1. So the price picks are more than $1, some a lot more than $1. Regardless, all these cards are going to be in a link in the description below. Make sure you check that out, especially if you're interested in this commander. Yeah, consider picking up some of these cards sooner rather than later, because when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled, new exciting, spicy, powerful commander like this one is spoiled, sometimes cards that work well with it tend to go up in price sooner rather than later. So yeah, with all that said, let's jump into the budget buys. Again, cards that are less than $1. And to start things off, very simple one, but very effective. Voyager Staff. Pay 2, sacrifice it. Basically, blink a creature comes back to the end step. So, again, our commander has an ETB that we can use and abuse. And, hey, this is a great way to do it. Again, we just say pay 2 mana, essentially. Sacrifice this. Get that ETB again. Again, basically that's, hey, an edict effect, again, an improved edict effect in a way to force upon sacrifice valuable creatures or a planeswalker. And yeah, basically 2 mana, take out 3 creatures, build up, that graveyard, essentially, for you to eventually Rise the Dark Realms. So yeah, a great way to do this. And of course, yeah, ETBs, blink effects like this are just great for protecting our key pieces as well, especially our commander. So yeah, a great card to consider for this kind of a deck. And we've got other blink effects we're going to talk about here in a bit. But first, next up, we've got Undying Malice. Kind of on the other side of things, this is one of those cheat death type effects, like a Feign Death, which needs to be reprinted, Wizards. Make it budget again, please. Instant for a black. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, turn to the battlefield, tap on source control, they counter on it. We don't really care about that counter. I mean, it's nice. Our commander is a 4/5 with Menace, so sure, okay. Yeah, our commander can become more threatening. Great. That's really not how we're going to win the game. We're not going to be like, Commander damage Sheoldred. Maybe, some people might, that's fine. But we're going to be like, no, just, hey, oh, you tried to take my commander out? Cool, thank you for that. 1 mana. Okay, my commander can die and come back, and then I get that ETB again, and now I punish you for doing that. So it's great protection, great way to use and abuse that ETB, and yeah, just a great effect overall. Next up, we've got Drown in Ichor. Yeah, you're going to want to consider some proliferate effects as well. This one's a great one. Target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn, proliferate. So this can be a great way to take out an opponent's creature. Maybe, like a small to medium-sized creature. Or again, if you, do this after combat, essentially, and some creatures got damage marked on them, be like, oh yeah, that's your biggest creature. Cool. It's gone. Proliferate. So if you've got any counters at all, you can utilize those. Obviously, you can also, do this while you are going through the saga. That is probably the best time to do it, because proliferate effects, yes, can give you more lower counters on your saga, which means you can speed through that saga to get kind of to that end game quicker. And again, yeah, obviously, even just getting to that second lower counter can be brutal on your opponents, making them discard 3 cards, mill 3. Yeah, taking away their resources can be huge. And again, speeding you to that victory, again, of that third lower counter. Again, it's not auto victory, but it's going to be tough for your opponents to stop you once you're set up in that way, especially if you can swing right away. And we'll talk about some ways to do that here in a bit. But first, let's talk about Violent Entombment. Now, remember that this commander does get creatures back from all graveyards, not just your opponent's graveyards, all graveyards. So, Violent Entombment, hey, when it enters the battlefield, search the library for a card, put the card in your graveyard, then shuffle. Go get your best creature out of your deck. Get it into your graveyard. Set yourself up for victory with this. And also, hey, this is a great blocker for you as well. A 2/2 with Death Touch, fantastic. Or you can swing with it too if you really want. But yeah, if an opponent swings at you, take out one of their creatures, which you want to, set yourself up to actually get. And then also, this goes in your graveyard, which means that, hey, if Sheoldred's like, you know what? Time to lore counter 3. And then it's like, boop. Okay, this comes back out. You can set yourself up if you need to go about it again. Using and abusing ETBs can be a fantastic way to really, really, really get the most out of creatures like this and your commander. Next up, we've got a repeatable way to set our graveyard. Yeah, our Ulrike Lore Mage does incredible work, especially for a commander like this. Tap search library for a card, put in your graveyard, then shuffle. If it's instant sorcery, you get a counter on this. You're probably not getting instant sorceries with this, but still, this is a repeatable way to say, yeah, hey, what creature do I want to eventually get out? That really good one. Yeah, let's do that. Next turn, another really good one. You can set your graveyard up, just stack it in a perfect way. We're like, yeah, I've got all these creatures. Cool. Oh, I get your creatures too? Great. I mean, I don't really need them, but sure, I'll take all your creatures too and take you all out with them. So yeah, a great way to go about doing that. Also, talking about setting yourself up, hey, Dread Summons is a great card to do so. X black black. Each player mills X cards. For each creature put in graveyard this way, you create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. Basically, hey, everyone's going to mill a good amount of cards, including myself. Hey, look, I'm with you all in this, okay? We're all getting milled. So, yeah, the more and more creatures you hit, obviously, the better that is just for getting more zombies out with this, which is great to just kind of build up a temporary army to, like, utilize, to protect yourself and also, become a little bit threatening. And then also, of course, the more creatures that you get in your graveyard and your opponent's graveyards, the more things you hit with that final lore counter on the Saga to really, really hit it home. So yeah, this can just be a great card. Again, make sure you're considering a lot of great mill effects because, yeah, again, there is that requirement that you need to be able to get to 8 cards in an opponent's graveyard to actually utilize that transform effect. So make sure you keep that in mind. Now, something else you should keep in mind, there aren't many ways to give your creatures haste in mono black, but the fantastic one in budget is going to be Crashing Drawbridge. Hey, a simple 0/4 defender that costs 2. It is a wall. You literally have a drawbridge, which is just kind of funny to picture. Like, Sheoldred's like, and now I summon my drawbridge. And it's like, oh, yeah, I'm a drawbridge. Okay, anyways, tap creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. This is a fantastic effect because say you just get this down early, or at least the turn before you get your third lore counter, right? You get that third lore counter, you get all those creatures, again, like Rise of the Dark Realms, essentially, out of everyone's graveyards. They're all in play under your control, and they're ready to go. And now you're like, instead of having to wait a turn to take everyone out, you're just like, tap, swing away, and just take out all of your opponents. So yeah, this can be just a great way to, again, make the most out of that third lore counter, and not as much, risk, essentially, when it comes to, like, okay, yeah, you can have this great setup, then someone Wrath of Gods, and they might be able to just stop you right then and there. This can essentially ensure that, like, no, unless you've got instant speed way to deal with my entire army, you're going to be in big trouble. So a great card for a deck like this, and of course, very budget-friendly. Moving on, Sangromancer. This card's been reprinted a lot, very budget-friendly as well. 3/3 flyer. Whenever a creature opponent control dies, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 3 life. That's going to happen a lot. Again, just 1 ETB on your commander. That is most likely gain 9 life. Again, if every opponent has a non-token creature sacrifice, you're gaining 9 from that. Also, of course, you've got plenty of other ways to take out your opponent's creatures. You're going to be gaining an absurd amount of life from this. Also, whenever an opponent discards a card, you may gain 3 life. Hey, that second lore counter, how many cards your opponents discard? 3? First up, again, you are destroying their hands. You're demolishing their chances. And then, yeah, on top of that, you're gaining 9 life per opponent, as long as all of them have 3 cards in hand. But yeah, basically, 9 life per opponent, 27 life from that one interaction. You are padding your life total to an absurd amount with this. It is a fantastic card to consider. I would definitely ensure that you have this in your deck. It is a great card for a deck like this. Speaking of which, on the other end of things, Megrim, you want to hurt your opponents even more? Just rub it in just a little bit. Yeah, you might, outside of your commander, have even more discard effects. I mean, even just like a Siphon Mine can be great in a deck like this. Regardless, whenever an opponent discards a card, Megrim deals 2 damage to that player. Hey, again, you're discarding 3 with that trigger, or with that lore counter. Hey, take 6. Ow. And then again, any other discard effects you might have, hurt them further. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to take advantage of your opponent's discarding cards, and one really spicy one that we're going to get to coming up in the pricier picks. I don't think it's the first card, but yeah, again, pricier picks are cards that they are going to be more than $1. Unfortunately, outside of my budget, but great ones for you to consider. And the first one I want to bring up is Panharmonicon. Hey, again, if you're going to have ways to use and abuse that ETB with your commander, again, either blink effects or, again, those feign death type effects, the cheating death type effects, make sure you're considering this kind of a card in the pricier picks. If an artifact creature in the battlefield causes a triggered ability permanent control to trigger, triggers additional time. So again, with your commander, just coming into play once, it's like everyone sacrifices 2 things? Sorry about that. My bad. I mean, I say everyone, but all of you, not me. Also, on top of that, again, you have other ETBs like, Violent Tumor. Go get 2 creatures out of your grave or out of your library. Put them in your graveyard. And of course, any ETBs that you might get from your opponent's creatures as well. Well, you get twice as many now. Oh, you got a Mole Drifter in your graveyard? Thank you. I'll draw 4. Or, Sad Robot. A lot of other fantastic ETBs you can really take advantage of that your opponents are going to very kindly provide you with. Speaking of which, Conjurer's Closet, a great card, again, with a commander that has an ETB that you can really use and abuse. At the beginning of your end step, exile target creature, bring it back. Basically, just a free blink at the end of the turn. Again, a free way to say, oh, another edict. Oh, another edict. Oh, another edict. Yeah, this can be fantastic. And keep in mind, the way that this is phrased, it says, at the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, not own, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. That means that if you have one of your opponent's creatures, which you are very likely to have at some point again, because of the Rise of the Dark Realms kind of thing, right? You can actually blink that creature and it will come back into play under your control. Your opponent does not get it back. Be careful with other blink effects. Some of them say under their owner's control. But with this one, again, let's say one of your opponents has a really juicy ETB. You're going to be like, yeah, you got a Sun Titan that I just stole, right? Okay, I'll blink it. It comes back. Cool. I get that ETB. So yeah, make sure you are considering a card like this. Next up, Contagion Engine. This is just gross with this kind of a commander. In just battlefield, you put a charge, a -1/-1 counter on each creature target player controls. So you start off and say, I don't like you. Oh, I mean, I like you, but I don't like your creatures. So I'm going to get a -1/-1 counter on all your creatures. Then I can pay 4 and tap and proliferate, then proliferate again. So that is huge. Proliferating twice is amazing. First up, you're going to be wiping out an opponent's board. You're going to take out their creatures, which again adds to their count, which lets you, again, activate your commander's ability. Secondly, when your commander is flipped and it is the saga, this can just speed run you through that saga in no time. Again, you get that first lore counter and you're like, cool, that's great, awesome. Okay, so I got that benefit. I took out some creatures. I'll activate this for 4 mana. Cool. Let's see. You all discard cards. Cool, in mill. And then I also just happen to get all of your creatures out of all your graveyards right then and there. So again, it speeds you through that process. And of course, after that too, your commander flips. And if they had any creatures left, they are sacrificing them too. Or planeswalkers. But yeah, this is a great way to set yourself up in a lot of ways for victory. Speaking of which, a Chromas Memorial. Yeah, again, like I mentioned, not a lot of ways to give your creatures haste. This is a fantastic one in mono black. Creatures you control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red. Opponents, good luck dealing with my creatures. I mean your creatures. I mean mine. Yeah, I'm just gonna get this out and then Rise of the Dark Realms, essentially, right? That lore counter. And hey, your armies are now hasty, angry, flying at you, and yeah, good luck. And also protect from red and black. So yeah, you're gonna have a tough time actually dealing with them and just surviving the first swing, essentially. So yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Next up, again, if you are going into that discard kind of mentality with this kind of a commander, if you're wanting to benefit, like that Sangromancer, essentially, hey, other ways to benefit from as well. Waste Not is an incredible card. I wish this card would get reprinted. It is so cool and so expensive. Whenever an opponent discards a creature card, make a 2/2 zombie. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, add black to your mana pool. Whenever an opponent discards a non-creature land card, draw a card. So basically, hey, value no matter what you discard. If you're discarding creatures, which is great because that adds the creature count in the graveyard. Also, I make zombies, which is nice. Just add to my army. If you discard lands, that's also beneficial. I can then cast more spells this turn because I'm going to get more mana. And then also, if you discard non-creature lands, let's dig further into my deck. So this is a very low to the ground, very fantastic enchantment that, again, is going to get triggers 9 times when your lore counter number 2 comes up, right? Your opponents discard 3 cards each. Absurd amounts of value. I mean, just picture what would happen if your opponents all just discarded lands even. You're like, oh no, you discarded lands. I'm not going to get any creatures out of that. Oh well, I'll just get 18 mana. Fun. So yeah, a great card to consider. Black Market, another way to get an absurd amount of mana. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market. That's going to happen quite a lot. Again, every single time your commander ETBs, it's probably about 3 creatures that get sacrificed, so you're going to get a ton of counters on this very, 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 very quickly. And then, of course, at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add black free charge counter on it. This can just be a massive, basically, ritual effect every single turn for you. Just an absurd amount of mana that you get. Of course, that just helps you activate your commander, helps you cast other things, helps you just get way ahead of your opponents. It can be a quite fun experience for you. And your opponents might be a bit jealous of the amount of mana that you can generate with something like this. Alter the Brood. A very simple, very effective card. I absolutely love this card. It used to be budget friendly a long, long time ago. I actually had a modern deck built around it. Yeah, Mitch played modern for like 2 minutes. Yeah, I built like a janky budget, mono white combo deck around that one lion that exiles an artifact, and then the one Phyrexian clone. Regardless, that's not the point. The point is the win con of that deck was Alter the Brood, which is an incredible card for this commander. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of their library in their graveyard. Basically, hey, you get this down early, no matter what you're doing. You're playing a land, cool, mill everyone 1. You play a creature, mill everyone 1. You get any kind of permanents into play, you're milling your opponents again and again and again, filling their graveyards by you just doing what you were already going to be doing, which is huge because, again, it sets you up to then get to that 8, that 8 number, that magical 8 number, to essentially be able to activate your commander to fill their graveyards with creatures that you are going to be able to steal out of their graveyards. And of course, when you do steal their creatures out of their graveyards, this sets you up to do it again, because you're like, okay, yeah, all your creatures come into play under my control. They get this ETB trigger essentially and mill all of your opponents for one for every single one of those creatures. So again, let's say that you stole, and also maybe having your graveyard in total 10 creatures, and that's probably a low number. Yeah, definitely a low number. Let's just say it's 10. You're milling all your opponents then for 10 each, setting yourself up for another one essentially. And yeah, your commander can just be, if you got the mana for it, you can just activate your commander again, flip again. Have fun with that. Good luck to your opponents again. This is just a very small, very, 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 very good card. Next up, Life's Finale, a really funny card with this commander. Sorcery for 4 black, destroy creatures, then search target opponent's library for up to 3 creature cards within their graveyard. Then that player shuffles their library. So basically what's going to happen is, yeah, you know what? Maybe you're like, okay, things are getting out of control out of there. You know what? I just need to wipe things. So you destroy the board, and then you're like, hey, you know what? Timmy over there is playing a deck that's got a lot of big creatures. Go figure, Timmy, right? So let's go search their library and go get the 3 biggest creatures, put them in their graveyard, and then when I go and, get my 3rd lore counter on my commander, I get to steal those big creatures on top of all the other creatures that I just destroyed. So yeah, Wraths, of course, can be very effective with this commander, especially something like this, again, that can set yourself up even more by saying, like, let me go tutor things out of your library into your graveyard for me to get later. And speaking of tutoring, Buried Alive. Yeah, this one is for you, though. You're going to be like, hey, search library for 3 creature cards, put them in your graveyard, then shuffle. For 3 mana, what's not to love? Again, setting yourself up to be like, yeah, okay, I know I'm going to be able to get to that, 3rd lore counter. I'm going to be able to get to that, Rise of the Dark Realms. Let's just make sure that we can finish things off by going and getting the exact creatures that we need for the situation that we're in, right into our graveyard, set yourself up properly, and then, yeah, go get the 3rd lore counter and win the game from there. So yeah, a fantastic way to go about doing that. Yeah, overall, a very interesting commander. One that, again, has a decent, front side, again, with the, hey, enters the battlefield, a good edict effect, again. Most of the time going to be better than just your standard edict effect. Each opponent sacrifices a creature, because, again, it specifies non-token creature or planeswalker. So yeah, forcing them to actually sacrifice something of value. And of course, you can use and abuse that ETB, and then the backside is just absurd. So mean, so awesome. Good luck to your opponents. It is just very Sheoldred. So yeah, a good send-off again for Sheoldred. Again, I should say, potential send-off. Although I do not expect to see the Phyrexians for quite some time. So we shall see, though. But yeah, make sure you check out my other episode from this morning on Vorinclex. Speaking of Phyrexians, goodness gracious, Vorinclex is a beast. And yeah, the Saga side of Vorinclex is quite spicy, too. So make sure you check that one out. And yeah, make sure that you check out that card list link in the description below if you are interested in this commander. And yeah, again, remember to pick up cards sooner rather than later, because sometimes cards might go up in price if a commander becomes popular. And yeah, that sometimes happens before the card actually even comes out. Not most of the time, I should say, but a lot of the time it does. Anyways, make sure you stay tuned to this channel for more quick takes and spoilers. Check out my other ones already done. Comment below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.